This video we are going to create a property page which will list all the different property details. Okay, so this is basically when you click on this card, so it should open up a page specifically showing the details of this property. Okay, and let me just show you a demo. So if I click on this, it should take me to the page property slash the id. Okay, so this is the page which will display the particular property of this for example driftwood villa, and it will show all the different details of this property, and also we will be showing a map over here. Okay, and this map will show the exact location whatever we type in over here. Okay, so this will be using geocoding, so this will be doing in the next one of the next videos, and also will be having a feature where we can contact the owner, okay, via the email. Okay, so let us get started by in this video we are just going to build this carousel. We are going to display this information about the property and the description. Okay, so let's get started with this. So let us get started by giving a link to this card such that when I click on this card, it should navigate us to the page called slash properties, and then the ID of the particular property that we are clicking on. Okay, so let us go back to our code, and let us go to the property cards which we had built in one of those videos, which will render out all the different properties in the form of cards. So all we just need to now do is import the link tag from Next.js, and then wrap the card within the particular link tag and provide a href attribute. Now when we click on that, it should go to the desired page. Okay, so we have imported the next link in while creating this property cards page, and we have already given the link tag for I guess the vertical layout, but I guess I forgot to give it for the horizontal layout. Okay, so let us also give that for this horizontal layout, and make sure we are only giving the link tag to this property content. Okay, so let us go here and let's import the link tag. Okay, and give it a href attribute of, so we can use backticks to render a dynamic string, so that is going to properties slash the id of the property. Okay, so that is coming from property.id. Alright, so once that's done, now we can close this link tag up and then put the property content inside that. Okay, so now when we go back to the property cards and when we click on any one of this, so it should navigate us to the particular page, okay, which we haven't built yet, so we will be building after this. Okay, so that's actually working, and notice that this thing has changed to blue because we have put that inside a next link. Okay, so by default whatever the heading elements we give inside this will turn into blue color. Okay, so let us get rid of that by providing a style tag of, like, let's say color black. So style, inside that I'm just going to manually convert the color to black. Okay, so, and this is one of the weird things which I noticed within the next link, so let us anyways get rid of that, and once we save this, we go back, this should turn into black. Okay, so once that's done, let's now go ahead and build the property page. Okay, so this is the page that we are going to build. So when I click on this, so it should first render a carousel and then display the information. Okay, so we are also going to use anti-sign grid and display 2/3 of the page with the information and rest of that with the details of the owner. Okay, so this part we'll be doing in the next video. So for now we'll be doing for the carousel and then the information of this property. So let us now create a page inside the properties route. Okay, so inside that I'm going to create another folder, and remember this time it is a wildcard. Okay, so because we do not know what will be the exact id of the property that we'll be passing it as url. Okay, so we just need to get that we just need to inform Next.js that this is going to be a wildcard, and we just need to grab this within the props that we receive within this function component. Okay, so for that we use square brackets, if you remember, if you know about Next.js, and then pass in the particular wildcard, the name of that. So I can just call this id. Okay, and then inside this we can create yet another page.tsx. Alright, so once that's done, we can just now sketch out our component, and remember now we have given this inside a wildcard called id. Okay, so we receive that in the form of props, okay, called params. Okay, so if I just console log this params and just show you what do we actually get. Okay, so if I console log params, and also let's give the type of it, and which is going to be a string. Okay, so you get all of this in form of strings. Okay, so and not numbers. So let us just return property page, and also let's rename this to property page, the name of the function. And once we save this, when we go back to the application, so the currently building application, so if I click on this property, it should take us to the page. So this is going to be properties /30. Okay, so this is the wildcard that we have used, so the id of the property, and this is of course going to render the property page, the text itself. So if I just open my console or my terminal, since this is a server side rendered page, so you see that we get the id of 30. Okay, so that is what we are actually passing in within our url params. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So now let's go ahead and start building this page. So the first step is to get the property based on the id that we pass in as url. Okay, so for that we can just create a variable right at the top, like const id, and get the id from the params, so that is params.id. Okay, and this is going to be in the form of string, I told you, right? So we need to convert that to a number. Sorry, my bad. The id of the params which we get, right? So inside that it has a property called id, and that property is going to be of type string. Okay, so I just gave directly to the params, so this is going to contain an property called id, and the type of this is string. So once that's done, we can, based on this id, we can make a server action to get the particular property, and then we render that information on the property page. So let's now go to our actions file and then create a server action to get a particular properties details. Okay, so let's go to our actions, and right at the bottom let's create another function, okay, which is also async. Let's call this get property by id. All right, and then this is going to receive the id of the property, okay, which is going to be of type number. Okay, so since we converted that to a number, so we'll be passing that. Okay, and inside this function, let us open a try catch, and this is very easy, guys. So if you have done this before, you can just go ahead and like pause this video and try it yourself. So anyway, so I'll just create a variable called response, and going to await on the db dot that is property dot find unique. Okay, so we are going to find by the unique attribute called id. So this id is going to we just need to pass in that, and within the where clause, and then say that this id pertains to the id that we are passing in as arguments. And then apart from this, we also want to include the images also. Okay, so images of the property, and also the owner of the property, which particular user has created this property, so that is the owner of the property, right? So also let's include the two tables or the two models that we created, that is images. Okay, and set that to true, and also for the owner. Okay, and set that as well to true. Okay, so once that's done, we can finally return the response, and if there is any error, we can just say that failed to fetch user and just throw the error. Okay, so our console.error saying error fetching property, and then showing the error. Okay, so let us now finally export this function get property by id. Okay, so very simple. So we have just created the server action to get the property by id. Okay, so once we save this, we can just go back to our property page and then make a server action to get the property. Okay, so remember guys, we are not using this as a client component. This is completely a server side rendered page. Okay, so we do not want to have any kind of interactivity, so this is just going to be a static page, so that this is just going to be of HTML and CSS. Okay, so that's why we need to prefer as much as using server components than client components, right? So anyway, so let's create a variable and store the response over there. So I'm just going to call this response, or just say property, and set this equal to await, await, and make sure that whenever we are in any server components, we can directly mark the whole function as async function. Okay, so we can say export default async function, and then we can await on the get property by id. So that is the server action that we just created, and then pass in the id of that. Okay, so once that's done, we can just have a look whether we are getting the property or not. So if we log the property to the console, and once I save this, So let me just go back and make the request once again. So if I just refresh this and just go back to my terminal, and remember that this is a server side rendered page, so you won't get the property within the browser console but within your terminal. And yeah, there we go. So we see the particular property over here. Okay, so that is driftwood villa with the id of 30. Okay, so that is the particular id, right? So I just clicked on, and let's verify that. Yeah, so this is the same property, so that property information we are getting it over here. Okay, so we need to just leverage this information and then display all the contents on the property page. So now let us close this terminal and get rid of this console logs. All right, so now we can use this particular variable called property and access all of its properties to render out this property page. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to give this div a class name of container as usual, and inside this we are just going to first say that give a heading of saying this is the property details. Okay, so using a h1 tag of class name heading. All right, and let's say property details. All right, so after this remember we are also going to show the breadcrumbs. Okay, so that is coming from home, then property, and then the id of the property. Okay, so let us use a breadcrumb. Okay, so we have already used that in one of those videos, so while creating the property page, so we can directly import that from InDesign. So breadcrumb. Okay, and here we just need to pass in the particular items. Okay, items array, and let's give this some class names just to make it centered. So flex center. Okay, so these are all custom class names within the globals.css, and then going to give this a margin bottom of 1, and apart from this, let's give the items, and inside this we just need to pass in the form of an array of objects, saying that what is the title and the href attribute. Okay, so the title will be displayed within the breadcrumb, and when we click on that, that will navigate us to the particular page. Okay, so let's give the title first one as home, and then let's pass in the href of slash. Okay, so I'll just duplicate this few more times, and this is going to be properties, the second one, and this is going to slash properties. All right, I don't know why I have some spelling mistake over here, so let us also capitalize this, and finally the property details. Okay, so and this is not going anywhere since this is the current page that we are in. Okay, so we don't need the href attribute over here, and we can just close this up. Okay, so once that's done, we can just close the breadcrumb component like this, and yeah, so let us now go and see if we are actually getting this particular component so far what we have done. Yeah, there we go. So we get the heading and the breadcrumb. Okay, so when I hover on this, you see that it goes to slash properties. So once that's done, now we can now build our carousel. So let us now import the carousel component right below the breadcrumb from Andy. So carousel. All right, and then pass in some props. Okay, so there are some props, okay, which we need actually. So that is going to be autoplay. Okay, so this means that we without us clicking on buttons, so it will just keep swiping across. Okay, and also we need arrows, so if the user wants to just navigate across different images by arrows. Okay, so inside this carousel we can render out all of our images pertaining to this property. Okay, so for now we can so now we can use the property dot images, okay, dot map. So we can just loop across for every image, then we just want to return some JSX, right? So for that we are just going to use a next image tag. Okay, so remember that, not from InDesign but from next/image. So this is used for image optimization. So we're just going to pass in some more props like the key. Okay, so that is property dot id, and then we need the source, so and that is coming from the property the image dot url. All right, and then we have it various other props like the alt, so let's say property image, and then we have the width. Okay, so remember there's a trick which will expand the entire image based on the available space. So by giving width 0 and specifying the exact height, let's say 500 pixel, which is very suitable, and then we just need to pass in the sizes prop. Okay, so the sizes prop, we can just say that as 100 viewport width. Okay, so 100 viewport width. Okay, so by this will expand the entire image based on the available space that we gave. So that is for the height 500 pixel. And let's continue with object fit cover, and then we have the priority. Okay, so we need to load this image as soon as possible, so I also explained that. And then let's give some class names of let's say image dash br. This will give us some border radius. Alright, so let's now finally close up the image tag, and yeah, also we need to close the so sorry, this should be image.id and not property.id. Okay, so for every image we have assigned the id, right? So once that's done, we can just go back, and yeah, there we go, we see the carousel, nice and good. So we get the arrows just because we passed in the arrow prop, right? So we can navigate across different images, and also this is going to autoplay. Okay, so if you want, you can override the default timer for this autoplay by passing another prop, okay, called as autoplay. So I'm just going to stick with the default, and yeah, so our carousel component is done. So now let's go ahead and build the property details for this particular property, and show them right below this carousel. So if you don't want to waste your time in typing out all the different property information, which we have already done for the property cards, you can just copy paste within the you can just go to my git repository and then copy the code for this, and then paste it within your current working file. Okay, so that if you would like to do that, you can, otherwise we can just go ahead and start building the property details for this particular property. Okay, so right now we are going to import the design row. Okay, so we are going to display this in the form of a grid, and as I told you that 2/3 we are going to show that as property details, and then the rest of the 1/3 space we are going to render out the contact form. Okay, so let's import row from nd, and this is going to take in few props like the gutter, which is 16 by 16. So this is going to give us some space, and after that let's give the class name of margin y. Okay, so not here, so let's give the class name of my, which stands for margin on the y axis. Okay, so inside this row we are just going to render the column from nd, and here we are just going to specify the for small screens it has to take the entire viewport width, so that is 24, and then for the medium size we are going to as I told you 2/3. Okay, so the 2/3 is going to be 16. Okay, so 16 out of 24, so 16. And after this let's render the card. Okay, so we are going to display that in the form of card. So if I just show you that, so this one. Okay, so let's import card from nd. So inside this column let's import card. Okay, so inside this card we are just going to give in some class names like the within the div. So let's say card header, and by the way all of these class names are defined within our globals.css. okay, so if you can just refer that if you would like to, and then let's give a heading to display the property name. So and let's say the property name. Okay, so we are going to use the dynamic strings within our JSX. So let's display the property dot name. All right, and then we have is the price. Okay, so we are going to show the price right next to the name of the property. So let's give a paragraph tag of class name card dash heading dash price, and inside this let's show the property price. So property dot price. Okay, and we need commas, remember. Okay, so we can use the toLocalString method on strings. Okay, so toLocalString. Okay, and this will add in some commas to our price, and also we can show in the rupee symbol. Okay, so for now we can just save this and just go back and just see what do we get. So if I refresh, so let's wait for it. So we see the property name and the price. Okay, so maybe I misspelled the class name, so this should be header. Okay, so by that if I save this, this should change that to the particular color, and also let's add a rupee symbol right next to this. So let us get that from Google. If you want, you can just get that from Google. So I'm just going to copy that from my previous version of my code. So I can just copy that and paste in here. Alright, so if I just save that, I get the rupee symbol. Okay, so whichever the currency your country you're watching in, you can just use that. Okay, and build the website based on that currency. So we have displayed the name and the price. So let us now go ahead and display the address of this. So within the same card, right below this div, we can render a paragraph tag of, give it a heading of the class name of paragraph, and let's give some margin at the bottom of -1. Okay, so like this, and alright, inside this let's render out the street, the city, the state, and the zip code. Okay, so the property dot street, and then the property dot zip code. So this will be comma separated. So let us also copy this to save some time. Dot city, then property dot state, and finally the zip code. Alright, so once that's done, we can just save this and go back. So if I refresh, I see the address of this. Alright, so let's now go ahead and build another card to display all the key features of this property, like the BHK, the preferred tenants, what is the area, size, all that. So let us use another card right below this card to display the key features. So let's use card, and this is going to be of class name of margin 1. Okay, so this is going to give a margin of 1 rem. So inside this card, we can right now use a flex box to display the key features side by side. Okay, so we can use a inbuilt flex box from hand design, and we can pass in some props like justify, that is going to be space around. Okay, and then we need to wrap this. So for smaller screen sizes, so this should not have the complete fixed width. So whenever it exceeds the width, it should wrap down. Okay, so let us close this flex box, and we can inside this use a card item. Okay, so give a class name of card item, and inside this we are going to list out the first key feature, that is the type of the property. Okay, so let us use a paragraph of class name icon text, and let's render the property dot text, the type. Okay, so once I save this, so if I just go back and refresh, I should be able to see another card with our particular property card. So there you go. So since we are just using one, so we are getting rent. So as we have other key features also for this property, this will be side by side. So let us now go ahead and start building this, and also we need to provide an icon for this. Okay, so if we see the demo of this, we have an icon. Okay, so that also we need to import from hand design. So let us import that as well. So the icon which we will be using for the property type is key outlined. I don't know why for some reason I don't get suggestions for this icons that I import from and D. Okay, so let us anyways use this, and this is going to take in the class name of card icon. Alright, so let's close this up and import this. So that is coming from and design / icons. So import from and design / icons. Alright, so what's wrong? This should @and design / icons. Sorry. So once that's done, we can just go back, and we should be able to see the icon for this. Yeah, there we go. So also let us give us this small little divider, so it will look good between different key features. So let us use that divider, that is also coming from hand design also. So let's use divider, and this is going to be of type vertical. Okay, so by default it is horizontal, so we can override that by saying vertical. Okay, and let's give the class name of like icon divider, and close this up. So once if I do that and go back to the application, I should be able to see one small divider here. Okay, so let's wait for it. So we see the divider here. So since I've given the flexbox as a space between, so that's why we are not able to see that side by side. So as we add in more and more key features, we'll be getting this property key features in the right format. Okay, so let's go back and let's duplicate this few more times. Okay, to display all other key features for this property. Let's also use the property type. Okay, so let's replace this to property type, and let's replace also this icon to home outline. Okay, so once that's done, also let's change for the other things as well, like let's also display the bhk. So property.bhk, and so this will be separated by an underscore. So let us use a split method on this and split based on the underscore, and then join back with an empty space. Okay, so join by an empty space. Okay, so once that's done, let's now move on to the square feet. So let's property.square feet, area, and let's replace this icon with the layout outline. Alright, and then finally the preferred tenants. Alright, and let's change this to user group icon outline. So let us say square feet. Okay, so we see the square feet here. Yeah, also let's get rid of this last divider. Okay, so let's go back now and just delete this. So actually we wanted somewhat like this. Okay, so the card should come inside this card. Okay, so maybe I just put this right below this another card, so that's why the thing was not working. So let us put this card inside this another card. So we can just push this at the top, and then we can put this as margin 1, so to give margin all around of 1 rem. So we can now go to our, yeah, there we go. So this is what I exactly wanted. So now let's show the description of this property. So right below this card I can display another card saying that of, let's give a class name of margin top of 1 to separate between the cards, and inside this card let's give a h3 of description. Okay, so make sure you spell everything right, otherwise your class names won't work properly. Okay, so let's use the paragraph tag and give this a property description. Okay, so once we save that, we should be, yeah, so something's wrong. So this should be of just description, I guess. Sorry, this should say description and this should come below this. All right, so if we now go back and reload, yeah, so there we go. So we see the description and then the exact description what the user provided for this property detail. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it for this video. So quite boring, I guess. So I know we are not implemented much features except for the server action to get the particular property details. Okay, so in the next video is going to be even more interesting, because we are going to render out a contact form where we can contact the owner of the property. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that in the next video.